Cleopatra's tomb was never found, and the truth is terrifying. She ruled the most powerful empire on earth. She spoke 9 languages. She commanded the love of Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. She was so dangerous that Rome, the most powerful military force in history, feared her even after her death. And for over 2,000 years, no one has found her body. Cleopatra VII, the last pharaoh of Egypt, vanished from history the moment she died. And what happened to her tomb is one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in archaeology. But here's what most people don't know. Her tomb might not be buried in the sand. It might be sitting at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea, right underneath the city of Alexandria. This is the story of the lost tomb of Cleopatra. And the truth is stranger than anything Hollywood ever imagined. To understand why we can't find Cleopatra's tomb, you need to understand Alexandria in 30 BC. Alexandria was the greatest city in the ancient world. Founded by Alexander the Great in 331 BC, it was home to the famous Library of Alexandria, which held the collected knowledge of the entire ancient world. It had a population of nearly 1 million people. It had the tallest lighthouse in history. It was the center of science, philosophy, and power. And at the heart of that city stood the royal quarter, a complex of palaces, temples, and gardens that stretched along the Mediterranean coast. This is where Cleopatra lived. This is where she died. And according to ancient historians, this is where she was buried, alongside her lover, Mark Antony. The ancient writer Plutarch said that Cleopatra herself chose the location of her tomb. She wanted it magnificent. She wanted it worthy of a god. Because in Egyptian religion, Cleopatra didn't see herself as just a queen. She believed she was the living incarnation of Isis, goddess of magic, motherhood, and the dead. So where is this magnificent tomb? Why has no one ever found it? The answer begins with one catastrophic event that erased half of ancient Alexandria from history. In the year 365 AD, about 400 years after Cleopatra's death, a massive earthquake struck the eastern Mediterranean. It was one of the most powerful earthquakes in ancient history. The tsunamis it created were so large, they were recorded as far away as Sicily and Greece. In Alexandria, the effect was devastating. The entire royal quarter, the palaces, the temples, the harbor, collapsed into the sea. Not slowly, not partially. The ground literally sank, and the Mediterranean swallowed centuries of history in a single afternoon. Archaeologists estimate that up to 1/3 of ancient Alexandria now lies underwater. The famous lighthouse? Underwater. The palace of Cleopatra? Most likely underwater. And her tomb? Possibly sitting at the bottom of the harbor, 2,000 years later, completely intact, never looted, never touched. And that's when the underwater archaeologists got involved. Because if the royal quarter sank into the sea, maybe, just maybe, we could find it there. French archaeologist Franck Goddio has been diving in Alexandria's harbor since 1996, and what he found changed everything we thought we knew about the ancient city. But the underwater discovery isn't the only lead archaeologists are chasing. About 45 kilometers west of Alexandria, there's a place called Taposiris Magna. In ancient times, it was a major religious complex dedicated to Osiris and Isis, the gods Cleopatra most identified with. Since 2005, Egyptian Dominican archaeologist Dr. Kathleen Martinez has been excavating this site, and she has a bold theory. Cleopatra's tomb is not in Alexandria at all. It's here. Her reasoning is compelling. After her defeat, Cleopatra would have known that the Romans planned to humiliate her, to parade her through Rome in chains. She killed herself to deny them that satisfaction. But she also would have planned her burial very carefully, somewhere the Romans could not easily find and desecrate. A religious sanctuary 45 kilometers outside the city, dedicated to her patron goddess? It makes perfect sense. And Martinez has already found extraordinary things at the site. Coins bearing Cleopatra's face, statues of Isis, and most remarkably, a network of underground tunnels that lead toward the Mediterranean Sea. Tunnels that partially flooded. Tunnels that her team has been carefully excavating for nearly 20 years. And in 2022, they found something that stopped the entire archaeological community in its tracks. In 2022, Martinez's team announced the discovery of a geometric network of tunnels carved directly into the rock. Tunnels that mirror the layout of the famous Serapeum of Alexandria. At the end of one tunnel, they found a rectangular shaft sealed with debris. Inside, 2 alabaster masks, one of which had features consistent with Cleopatra's known portraits. The Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities confirmed the discovery was significant. Further excavation is ongoing. Meanwhile, back in Alexandria's harbor, Frank Godio's team has mapped over 2 square kilometers of submerged ruins. They found sphinxes, statues, columns, and entire temple floors, all perfectly preserved by the cold, dark water. They've identified what they believe are parts of the royal quarter, including structures that may have been palace buildings. No tomb yet, but the site has barely been explored. The visibility underwater is difficult. The area is enormous, and Egyptian authorities have restricted diving in certain sections for political and logistical reasons. Imagine this: 2,000 years of history, sitting on the sea floor, undisturbed. No looters, no Roman soldiers, no erosion, just time, just darkness, and possibly the most famous woman in ancient history, waiting to be found. So where do most archaeologists actually think the tomb is? Let me break down the 3 main theories. Theory 1. The tomb is underwater in Alexandria's harbor. This aligns with ancient sources that place the royal quarter on the coast, and with the known earthquake that submerged much of that area. Supporters point to Godio's discoveries as proof that major royal structures are indeed there. Theory 2. The tomb is at Taposiris Magna. This is Martinez's theory, and it has gained significant credibility over the past decade. The tunnels, the artifacts, and the strategic logic all support this location. Theory 3. The tomb no longer exists. Some historians believe it was destroyed during the chaos following Rome's conquest of Egypt, when much of Alexandria burned, including, possibly, parts of the royal quarter, in fires set during the Civil War. Of the 3, most active archaeologists today lean toward Taposiris Magna, mainly because it's on dry land and can actually be excavated. The underwater sites present enormous technical challenges, but the harbor theory cannot be ruled out. And here's the thing that keeps archaeologists awake at night. Cleopatra's tomb has never been looted. Unlike the Valley of the Kings, where nearly every pharaoh's burial was ransacked in antiquity, Cleopatra's resting place, wherever it is, has almost certainly never been disturbed. Which means, if we find it, we find everything. But the search continues. Martinez is still at Taposiris Magna. Godio's foundation still maps the harbor. And every few years, a new technology, a new scan, a new drone, a new imaging system gives archaeologists hope that this might be the year. Because finding Cleopatra's tomb would not just be the greatest archaeological discovery of the 21st century, it would rewrite our understanding of the ancient world. Cleopatra spent her life being the most powerful woman in the world. She outlasted 2 Roman generals. She managed an empire at the edge of collapse. And when she finally died, she died on her own terms. Maybe it's fitting that she's still hiding from us, that after 2,000 years, She still hasn't let us in. But the search is still going. The tunnels at Taposiris are still being excavated. The harbor floor of Alexandria is still being mapped. And somewhere, under the sand or under the sea, the last pharaoh is waiting. If they find her, you'll hear it here first. If this story kept you up tonight, hit subscribe, because next week we're going deeper into Egypt's buried secrets. And trust me, what we found will change how you think about ancient history forever.